What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another edition of Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey. I am Corey, and that is my partner, Scotty. How you doing, man?
Oh, brother, I'm doing wonderful. How are you on this lovely Saturday? As you like to say, it is a great day to be a football fan, my friend. But how you doing? How you doing?
Well, you stole my punchline, but yes, it is a great day to be a football fan, as it is every day. Partner, we got some things to talk about. In particular, one thing that you have the details on, the deets, if you will. Kirk Cousins, he got somewhere, and we talked about it last week. I called it. There was a little bit of a debate between you and I win. But go ahead. Let's hear what you have to say. Let's hear the details on this.
Real quick. You didn't win. He's not been named starter yet. Go on ahead and sit back some. But you were correct. He did end up in Las Vegas with the Raiders. And can we establish that for the first time ever in NFL history, a quarterback in the NFL, actually anyone in the NFL, is getting their 11th consecutive year of guaranteed pay?
Wow.
Kirk Cousins' agent deserves a statue in front of the building at his agency. Give that man a plaque, a statue. You know what? Heck with it. Put him in camp. Might be the best agent to ever exist. Drew Rosenhaus can sit on one. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Let's get into this. It is a 5-year, $172 million deal, but the way to properly digest this is because it is basically non-guaranteed for the rest of the time throughout this contract, but he is getting payments from two separate teams that push this to a 1 year, $20 million guaranteed deal. He is getting $11.3 million from the Raiders, and he will be procuring another $8.7 million from the Atlanta Falcons for signing with the Raiders. That is huge.
Uh,
And we don't know if he's going to be starting. But here's what this does to the NFL quarterback landscape for the remaining teams that may need a quarterback. So, this all but solidifies Aaron Rodgers going back to the Steelers. That's what the consensus around the league is. That's what every beat writer that I've read who's covered this story has said. It feels like, and it makes the most sense, that Aaron Rodgers ends up back in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Mike McCarthy has gone out and said that they want Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. This helps basically solidify that if he does in fact decide to play another year.
Great.
Um, I like this move as long as they are not starting Kirk Cousins, but I don't see them paying the man $11.3 million to sit on the bench.
Yeah. I do remember that last time we talked, there was some rebuttal with you that you did not want to see Kirk Cousins down there because you really didn't think that he was the kind of quarterback to really mentor, especially seating in front of Fernando
That part.
Mendoza.
That part. Kirk Cousins is an excellent quarterback.
Right.
He is not the same kind of mentor as Aaron Rodgers, and he should not be because of the talent that Fernando Mendoza brings day one in the door. He should not be starting in front of him. Is he a capable starter in the NFL? Absolutely. But I don't think that there's anything that he can offer him from a tape standpoint, which is my point. He's a fantastic quarterback. He will help the mental fortitude and development of Fernando Mendoza, but I don't think that he should start in front of him, which was the whole debate.
Yes, and I believe that we had actually had quite the conversation about the other quarterbacks as well, who would be a better fit in doing that. And of course, you said his name earlier, Aaron Rodgers. Now, what this means is that Aaron Rodgers probably is having really good talks with the Steelers, and will probably be donning the black and gold again um, this season. So He didn't do awful last season. Again, and I'll say it again, he has still one of the strongest arms in the NFL. But how do you see that situation playing out in Pittsburgh? I know it's a little bit of a deviation, but how do you see that situation playing in Pittsburgh? And also, do you think that they aimed for getting another quarterback this year? I know we talked about Ty Simpson. Maybe they grab him in the second round and they have him behind Aaron Rodgers, or you know, just do you think that they wait until next year and grab a quarterback from next year's draft?
Here's the way that I see it playing out, and this is just one fan's opinion. I think that they can come to terms on a deal with Aaron Rodgers, even if it's just a 1 year deal. Hey, man, we need you for this year. The quarterback class next year is better than the quarterback class this year. We like some of those guys. It's possible. It's possible, especially if they pick later. Uh, if he's available at the second in the second round, maybe they do go with a guy like Ty Simpson. Maybe they go with like a guy like Taylon Green out of Arkansas. But if they do not reel Aaron Rodgers back into the door, maybe they reach a little bit for a guy like Ty. Um, Fits a lot of, and we'll cover him a little bit later. But Ty Simpson fits a lot of what they like to do in Pittsburgh. Um, so maybe they end up with him either way. Who's to say? I don't think that there's been very many mock drafts that place him with the Steelers. But with the quarterback market shaping up the way that it is, it could be a possibility. And then again, they could also go out and trade for someone if the things with Aaron Rodgers don't work out. So I see it being Aaron Rodgers is option one, obviously. And perhaps you draft one of the quarterbacks that are not named Fernando Mendoza in this year's NFL draft. But the
Yeah,
third option is always if he's not on the table and you don't get the guy that you want in the draft, you can always, if there's the right team willing to move the right guy, you can trade. But I don't think there's a lot of quarterbacks available like that at this point. So it's probably Aaron Rodgers or a quarterback in the draft. That's option A and option B.
yeah. So if they were to go for someone like Ty Simpson, then they do have pick 21 and I believe 53 as well. And here's my thing. Like you said, if they really, really want a quarterback to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, then maybe they reach um, and get him at 21 just to have that kind of like safety blanket. Because I don't think the first 17 teams here, or first 19 teams, are really looking for a quarterback other than the Cardinals, and they're not going to reach at number 3 for a guy like Ty Simpson. So I would think that if Ty Simpson goes, it will be possibly by the Steelers, or they're going to wait until or someone else is going to grab him in the second round, second, third round. Ty Simpson will come off that board, and I do not think he will make it to round 3. But I think that if this is in fact the case, then it will be the Steelers at 21 or someone else later on in the draft.
Yeah,
But
for sure. Maybe. And one quick caveat or one quick thought before we push past. Maybe because we're on the topic, and we'll discuss this in just a bit with his pro day. Maybe he helped. Maybe he helped his draft stock a little bit. Maybe he pushes from the center of round two up towards the tail end of round one. I guess it just depends on how the scouting department looks at him.
yeah, that and also like I said, the needs. Is I mean I'm looking at the draft here because I have my mock draft coming up today, but I'm looking at these teams, and none of these teams pop out at me as a team who needs a quarterback again, other than the Cardinals and maybe the Saints, but the Saints are kind of okay with the guy they have right now. So I look
Yeah,
for them if
Kellen.
they're going to change their quarterback, they're going to do it next year or the year after that. If the guy they have isn't doing well this season, um, and that even pushes on to something we could talk about way later, is the Cowboys will probably also start looking for a different quarterback at some point. Um, Dak Prescott is getting up there in age, and now granted he's not. Um, we'll call it the 2020s quarterback old. I mean, we got Aaron Rodgers is still in. You still, I mean, Tom Brady played until he was 45. So he's not technically football old for his position, but you know, I look to him to possibly retire when he gets to the general football old. But anyway, I do agree that maybe his pro day did help with that. And like I said, I think if anyone's gonna grab him, it is gonna be the Steelers at 21, and if not, then we move to other teams possibly grabbing him at a later time. But man, I tell you what, we have. I got a couple of texts from you this morning because I was being sluggish, and I tell you what, I was tired, and I didn't had a lot to do, and getting out of bed this morning was a little rough until I picked up one of these here. Now, I'm like, what is that? This is Aspire Energy, and it's great. It has a whole bunch of vitamins B, vitamin C, 80 grams of natural caffeine from guarana and green tea. So if you like green tea, it's the same amount of it has the same type of caffeine that green tea has, and I feel great. It's long lasting. It gives you that punch as soon as you as soon as you drink it, and then it just dies down throughout the day. There's no jitters. There's no crash. It's sustained energy throughout the entire day. It's really good. I really do like it. It has half of the energy that the competitors have, and I feel like, and I said this last week, that I do just feel like that I have energy longer than when I drink competitors, because before this, I just drank the leading competitors' drinks, and I would have one at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd be good until about 11 o'clock, and then all of a sudden I felt tired. I felt, like I had been hit by a train and didn't really want to do anything. My productivity dies down. But with this, I'm awake throughout the entire day. I'm not. I don't have the jitters. There's no crash with me drinking this. And partner, as you can see, the fridge is empty. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the last can that I have until either sometime today or Monday when my next box comes in. And I can't wait to try that one. It's a different box. And if you're thinking, man, I really like what you said, you guys over here at Off the Bench, you guys talk this up a lot. If you guys want to try this for yourself, head on over to aspiredrinks.com / discount / OTB25 to get your very own, and it helps us on the channel keep this thing going. So you get sustained energy, and we get to help. We get to continue to do this podcast. It is, again, I really do like it. I'm not bluffing you. It is amazing. So again, that is aspiredrinks.com / discount / OTB25 to get your very own. Now, something that I think is going to be kind of fun. I kind of remembered the first time I did this, um, and I liked it. So, but we are going to do the mock draft, my mock draft number two.
2.0, baby. Let's go.
So, we're going to go ahead and enter the draft here and start draft. Now, here's something that I think, obviously, Fernando Mendoza is going number one. There has yet to be a draft simulation that doesn't have Fernando Mendoza going number one. And if you look here, that is already three of Ohio State's players, which we will talk about that a little later on when we cover pro days. And I gotta tell you, these three guys, I do not think that any of the four people. Uh, well, I'll just go ahead and make my pick. I'm gonna draft Carnell Tate because again, I love Terry McLaurin, and who better to back up Terry McLaurin than Carnell Tate, another Ohio State guy, and that just has great chemistry coming in anyway. So he would be a great number two as long as Caleb Downs is not in on the board anymore. If Caleb Downs is on the board, then obviously I would want Washington to take Caleb Downs and then just put a bow on that wonderful defensive oriented offseason. But in this one, we're going to take Carnell Tate. That is going to be a great first round pick, and in my opinion. Um, so moving on, we got Carnell Tate to start with, and then I think we talked about this a lot too, partner. Mike Washington Jr. is on the board still, and he did very well. He has gotten better. That's a plus. So as you can see, his football grade, his PFF grade has gone up the longer he has played, which gives me hope that when he comes into the league, the longer he's there, the more time he gets behind the ball, the more time he gets to practice, that he's just going to continue to improve. So for my second round pick, I'm going to grab Mike Washington Jr. I think that's a great pick. I think he would be a great addition to that running back room. Now we get down here into the fifth round. So this right here, most of the things you're going to grab through here are going to be your depth pieces, unless of course you are Bill Krosky Merritt. We love Bill. All right, I don't know how many times I got to tell y'all we love Bill on this channel. Um, but we're going to go ahead and if you look through this board here, we really do. We don't really need any defensive things other than safety and defensive linemen. But I think that given that this is a late round, it would not hurt to grab someone for depth. And I think Devin Marshall would be a great addition to that. I mean, he does very good in coverage. He does great on run defense. His man coverage grade I wish was a little bit higher because if you guys watched Washington last year, the best Washington did was in man coverage. So it is a little bit of a negative for the scheme fit. However, I think that he can come in and kind of up that a little bit, and he would also be a great addition because his zone coverage is much better. So we love to have a guy like that. They could probably slip him in on zone coverage plays. So go ahead and grab Devin Marshall for cornerback. Now we're getting down here, and already, again, like I said, we needed a safety. Jalen Strawman, who kind of had a rough year here. I don't know what happened to him here, but he only played one game in his 2024 season. I don't know if that's due to injury or not, but his coverage grade is pretty good. His run defense grade is the biggest thing right there. Run defense is huge, especially in some of those runs that we allowed last year. So we are going to grab Jalen Strawman at in the sixth round there. Okay, so again, I might be a little bit um, biased, but if this was the thing that I were going for, I would probably go for Lorenzo Styles Jr., who had a great pro day. Again, um, Ohio State as a whole did had a great pro day. So we're gonna grab Lorenzo Styles Jr. because I feel like he has a lot of untapped potential there. So we're gonna grab Lorenzo Styles Jr. to possibly end the draft. Oh wait, we got one more. Sorry. Um, who do you go for here? Well, I think again this is round seven, so I think that if anything else, you do go for um, depth again. Like I said, these later rounds, you just want to really go for depth. and have someone in the backfield, um, or in the back pocket, not backfield. So we already grabbed a couple of great guys that I think will make a wonderful addition to the team. But for now, we're going to grab another edge rusher, just someone to have in case someone goes down. You can put him in there, see how he does. Uh, we're going to go with TJ Guy out of Michigan. So the only thing that the PFF did not like was me grabbing Devin Marshall, which, it is what it is. I really think that that would be a great pick if he is there. Like I said, he did great. He has great run defense, and the zone defense will help out a lot if that is the route we choose to go again this year. They might be trying to do something where they have like a 50-50, where guys that are really good and then moderately good um, on either man or zone. So, but that is my draft. Comment down below. What would you guys draft? Would you have made anything different than I did? And if so, what would it have been? Do you think that I made a mistake grabbing Devin Marshall or any of the other guys here? Let us know. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys have. If you guys have done this, please take a picture, post it in our comment section. I would love to see what you guys do um, on your mock drafts as well. If you're Commanders fans, please do this. I think it's so much fun. I think the free one allows you up to 3 rounds. So jump in, send us your 3 rounds. It doesn't have to be a full one. You don't have to have a subscription to do the first 3 rounds. So uh, yeah, that's my draft. But moving on, partner, we have the pro days. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know
now
that you've been looking forward to the pro day breakdown, my guy.
this is the win loss of the pro day, um, the top 8 ish. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to break down who did very well and who increased their draft capital. Partner, do you want to get us started, or do you want me to screw up this name?
Oh no,
Um,
buddy. Oh no. This one's all you. This one's all you.
uh, so at number 1, we have linebacker Khalil Lawson um, out of UCF, and now he was a rangy, athletic 6'4" linebacker who only contributed to 34 tackles, 25 of them solo, and 2 sacks. At the program's pro day, he posted an eye-popping 11-foot 3-inch broad jump, and that's a mark that would have topped any other at his position, and he ranked number 4 all time. And a 41-inch vertical leap that would have ranked number 2 amongst the linebacker participants in Indianapolis. So, given his size and athleticism, coupled with his ability to chip in on special teams, I think that he comes up. Um, I think that he should now be on a team's draft radar because that's a heck of a pro day. Now, again, pro days aren't, they're not going to show you how well he will do in a game. That's what film is for. But showing how well he can do some of the drills at the pro day, I think that he comes up in his draft, which is why he is a winner on this list. Now, partner, do you want to grab the next guy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we were kind of hitting on this next fella while we were discussing the Kirk Cousins saga and what that means to the NFL. I think quarterback Ty Simpson is also a winner in this pro day. Now, his tape, if you watch his tape at Alabama, he looks a little raw still, especially for an NFL prospect. He has all of the physicals. He has all the physicals. Now, what really solidified him during his pro day is his passes were crisp and his release was really fast. There was a lot of zip on the ball. He's obviously the number 2 prospect. I don't think there's another quarterback prospect that is more ready than Ty Simpson, and his pro day showed that. Obviously, he's not Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza is a day one starter coming into the NFL. I believe this. Most NFL executives believe this. Most beat writers believe this. Most analysts believe this. I think Ty Simpson really helped his case with his pro day though, because he did make some incredible throws. There was a 60-yard throw that he made. It was beautiful. It did. His receiver didn't have to wait. There was good zip off of out of his hand on the ball. It was perfectly placed. It looked really nice. It was a beautiful throw, and showing that you can do it is is really the first step. That's the step that you want to take to let your NFL executives know, hey, I am worth investing a draft pick in. I can do it. I think that means a lot to him. And his quote to ESPN was, "Go have fun, go sling it. You watch the tape on Pro Day. Those aren't easy throws. I didn't want to make it easy." And he made the throws. And that's beautiful. I think that he was pretty solidly a day two pick. I think he was hovering somewhere in the early to middle second round where he was going to be picked. His pro day could have pushed him into being a day one pick, especially if quarterback remains a need for a specific black and gold wearing team. If they do not get their guy Aaron Rodgers back, I think his pro day justifies taking Ty Simpson up there. So it remains to be seen, but he did have a killer pro day, did Ty Simpson.
Real quick,
You want to talk
I
about our
have a
first?
I have a question for you, just
Sure.
because I don't watch the NFL draft as much as I just check on it. Now, how long roughly is draft day? Is that an all-day event, or is it just they start the clock and teams have, what is it, 3 minutes um, for round one to
No,
pick?
teams have 10 minutes in round
10
one.
minutes. Okay.
10
Okay.
minutes round one. I think it was 5 minutes for day two, which are rounds two and three. And then it's 3 to 5 minutes day three. Someone in the comments will absolutely clear that up for us.
Gotcha.
Um, but
Okay.
round one is
So round one's
it's
roughly an entire day event.
it's usually about 4 to 6 hours. Round one is.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was running through my mind. I was thinking, what if we just, but we'll just do a pod. Never mind. Anyhow, we'll move on to a loser in this pro day. Wide receiver Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame or Notre Dame, if you're me. Um, he entered the offseason looking like a candidate to be one of, if not the first wide receiver off the board, but he he ran a painfully slow a 4.6140, and man, that is slow. Um, his other things weren't as poor. Was the his 40 was the second slowest of his positional group. BYU's Chase Roberts put up worse, but yeah, he did really bad on that. Despite indicating he would give the 40 another go, he instead opted not to run at all on campus. So that tells me that he doesn't think that he's fast. He's any faster than what he showed. Um, and unfortunately, I think that means he has dropped tremendously. I think that he is probably going to drop into a uh, day two selection, and where he might have gone is now no longer the case. I don't think whoever was thinking on him grabbing him first is probably not going to grab him because of that. You definitely don't want a slow wide receiver. That's kind of their big thing in the NFL is being fast. So I expect him to drop down, especially deciding not to run on his pro day. So, yeah. Moving on, partner. You want to take the next guy?
Of course, of course. And we're staying on the topic of wide receivers. And this cool cat out of Pittsburgh, man. I liked him. I actually took him in a mock draft that I did off of the air. I was just playing around, seeing some things, doing some things. Deuce Span out of Pittsburgh. Um, I like him. 6'4", 210 pounds, a big rangy receiver. Now he was limited in his touches with the Pittsburgh Panthers in this past season, but his pro day was amazing. And from one end of the spectrum with uh, Malachi Fields 4.61 40, my guy Span over here, Deuce Span, ran some blazing fast 40s. His fastest being an unofficial 4.37. So he is running quickly. Also, 37 inches on his vertical, so he can get up. He's got hands. Um, and it's really really nice. You like to see guys like that, especially coming from smaller programs with limited touches. He's showing that he has physical ability, and I think if you have physical ability, especially as good of wide receivers that are either in the NFL or wide receiver coaches who are by and large former wide receivers in the NFL, you get that kind of mentorship and you can teach him the position. He was not really favored to be drafted at all, and now he has a sixth or seventh round potential, if you ask me. Um, and even if he doesn't end up being drafted, someone will come and get him, and he will probably start out on special teams, and he'll earn reps. I think you have intangibles like that. You can't teach speed. You'll hear every coach in the NFL and college and high school say it. You can't teach speed, and he has speed and he has hops. They can coach the hands. So I think this is a win for him. Having a blazing fast 40, a really high vertical jump. You love to see it.
Absolutely,
Um,
but here's my thing, right? So he did his best this year, and that's mainly because he switched over to the Panthers, where I'm assuming someone said, "Hey, let's really give this guy a chance." Uh, he he was limited to 13 catches to 142 yards, but before that, he had 3 year stint with Florida State with a meager 10 receptions, and left Illinois after only 1 year, scoring a career best 2 touchdowns during that 2021 campaign. So my question is his draft stock so low because someone didn't want to take the chance on him, or is it because he's not the kind of guy that they were looking for at the time? My thing, I think, personally, is that he just didn't have a good team around him. We talked about this a couple times already, where seniors are only as good as the team around them. And unfortunately, he came to Pitt this year, or Pitt, and was finally being used. Um, I don't know if it was this year or not. Not real savvy with them, but anyhow, he came there, and it seems like they finally decided to use the guy. Uh, and maybe that's why his draft stock is anything at all. Because I think that if he doesn't come to the Pit and doesn't perform like he did this year, I don't think he's again undrafted as well and selling insurance somewhere. But I think if a team can grab him, whether it be Washington or any other 32 teams, and finally just figure out a way to use the guy, I think that they would go very well.
yeah, for sure. And draft stock, if you look at the programs that he was on, we'll start at Illinois. Not a notably football school anymore. You kind of have to take that for what it is. Florida State over the past 3 years has had a lot of good mid round wide receivers. So you kind of have him limited behind them. And the last time Pittsburgh had a quarterback was Kenny Pickett. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff working against him. And I think that just the circumstances, which is why you participate in pro days if you're not a first round draft pick at all. That's why you participate in pro day, because a lot of times your name gets overlooked. And a lot of times if you're not a certain caliber of player, you don't get invited to the NFL scouting combine. So you participate in your pro days to boost your draft stock. I think that's a lot of the case with Deuce Spann. And I think if you watch the tape, the very limited tape that I've seen on the kid, he is crisp. He's long. He can use his hands. Does tend to body catch, but you can train the hands. But that's where you're gonna see if a team is like, well, we are rather thin at wide receiver. He does provide a lot of potential for, let's say, a gunner on special teams.
right.
Um, or even a returner because he is blazing fast, thick
Absolutely.
body catch, and he's very sound catching against his body. So maybe he gets a chance as a punt returner. Um, but I do see someone taking a chance with him, and it could turn out. It could turn out. There's a lot less working with him than working against him, but the stuff that is working with him is stuff that NFL teams like to see, and
Right.
that's he can jump, and he's fast, and he can catch the ball.
I mean, Devin
So,
Hester was probably one of the in my opinion, he is the greatest returnman. And I'm not saying this kid even has that kind of caliber, but he has the potential to come in and be a great returnman. Is the point that I'm making. But yeah. Anyway, moving on from this wonderful kid at Pitt to another fantastic athlete, linebacker Arvil Reese out of Ohio State. We've seen him in my mock draft get taken. Uh, I think it was in what round three, or round three, number three. Sorry. I think he went to the Cardinals, I believe. And to me, that just speaks volumes. And this kid has done very well for himself. Now, despite his lofty status as the number one player at the linebacker position and number four overall prospect, um, he wanted to further prove himself. So he really didn't have to do anything for Pro Day. He could have said, I'm good. I've shown what I can do on tape. I don't want to do anything else. But he did anyway. Um, I mean, I don't. To me personally, I don't think it did anything spectacular. I don't think that he's going to go any higher in the draft because he's already at like number three, number four pick anyhow. Just based on need. Um, we do have a comment here that I do want to read. That from Lewis Reddick. Now it says if you were in Columbus today in person watching Arvil Reese work out and didn't come away thinking this is a premium level athlete with unlimited upside, you should quit talking about athletes forever. Don't even bother to show his tape actually playing the game. Um, now, while his pass rushing technique needs refinement, I think that he's a great again third or fourth pick guy. Um, and he could have went higher, but again, it's just based on need. I don't think that he's gonna go second or third. Actually, he could go second, but I believe that Sonny Styles is probably gonna take that spot. Um, but second or third is again um, my kind of area for him. But yeah, he did very well. I like the kid. He did fantastic at his pro day. He did do a 4.46 40, which is faster than that wide receiver we just talked about,
fun
um,
fact. Fun
which is
fact.
crazy.
If you're Since you're so high on Carnell Tate, I'll give you this little nugget here. Arvil Reese ran a faster 40-yard dash than Carnell Tate at 4.53.
So what is Carnell Tate's height and weight? Because this is a linebacker we're talking about here. 6'4", 241 pounds, moving at a 4.46. That is a truck. That dude is hitting you hard. Um,
And Cardinal
but
Tate is a lofty 6'2", 192.
yeah, come on. Tate, you got to do better than that, man. But Reese spoke out about his versatility. He said teams have been pretty much asking me what I want to do and see where my mind was at. I've been telling them that I think I'm an outside linebacker slash edge. I haven't really scratched the surface of what I really can do as far as pass rushing. He finished the 2025 campaign with 69 tackles, 10 for a loss, and 6.5 sacks. He could come off the board as early as number two to the New York Jets, a team that could use a dynamic defensive talent, and I hope he does because I hope the Giants, Eagles, and Cowboys never get anything good. No offense to my Giants, Eagles, Cowboys fans, but we bleed burgundy and gold over here. Um, but yeah, I just think he's gonna go fantastic. He's gonna be a top guy. He's not gonna leave the fourth pick without being selected.
Yeah, no, he does not fall very far. If and here's the thing: if the Raiders did not have a need at quarterback, there's a possibility that there's a toss up between David Bailey and Arvil Reese being the number one overall pick. That's the big thing. But speaking of our guy Fernando Mendoza, we're gonna go right into him. Um, Already lofted as the number one overall pick in this year's NFL draft. I watched his pro day and it was staggering. It was staggering that someone who won the Heisman, who went out and put a national championship on the board for Indiana University. That's those are huge. Those are huge expectations. Those are huge accomplishments. He still went out and nailed his pro day. His throws were all beautiful. Um, his timing was impeccable. His communication and understanding of what his wide receivers were going to be doing, and the way that he communicated that to his wide receivers shows a leadership that I personally love. Um, Now this is his only pre-draft workout since declining the Senior Bowl. So like this means a lot, as he only did measurements at the draft combine. To
Absolutely.
see him throw the ball is it's so beautiful, and I think all he really did, he boosted the draft stock of his wide receivers,
Mhm.
and if there was a pick higher than number one, he would go there. But
No kidding.
it's just about all but confirmed that the Las Vegas Raiders, with the number one overall pick, are going to take Fernando Mendoza as their quarterback of the future. And if you watch the pro day, you will 100% understand why he outperformed even his expectations coming into the pro day.
Yeah, and if I mean even on this paragraph that we can see here, it even says that the Raiders spent a good time with him after the event, and he said, why did you even participate? You're already going number one. What's the point in continuing? And he said at the combine you're throwing to different receivers. It's a whole different thing, and I want to make sure I give my guys the best chance. I want to throw at the pro day with my guys, my running backs, my receivers, and be there with the boys. But he did end up throwing with some of the high uh, standout wide receivers, like Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt, which we talked about the last week. Um, and again, it's again one of them things that he didn't have to. Indiana was not a football school at all. And we talked about this, I believe, last week as well, that they're just before he showed up, Indiana really didn't have. anything going for them as far as football. You couldn't give away tickets to that game, which they talked about a little bit on ESPN, and it's just before he came there, it was dead. You could, if you were to look at a game, you would see that the stands were mostly empty. But when he got there, it just started booming. The program took off. They got a good coach. They did all these things. And again, he even went and got him a national championship. He's the Heisman winner. His draft stock is so high that, like you said, if there was a pick above number one, he would be there. So, um, but yeah, dude, it's amazing to me that he even decided to do this. But I mean, it just
Yeah.
further helps him, I think. So
I think the big thing with this, before we move on, is the fact that he wanted to do it with his guys, his Omar Cooper Jr., Elijah Surratt. He wanted to boost his guy's stock because, and here's what I think he has over every other quarterback in this year's draft, as well as a good 40 or 50% of quarterbacks in the NFL currently, and that is a leadership quality.
his big
taking the
heart.
risk taking the risk of harming your draft stock, to which would be next to impossible. We all know he has the best arm in the draft. He has the best processing in the draft at the quarterback position. But to even just take the risk to go out there just for the sake of your guys, like that's leadership that you don't usually get from college level quarterbacks. And he's selfless. He wants to see his guys win. He made this particular pro day about not just for Fernando Mendoza, but every draft eligible Indiana Hoosier that is participating.
Yeah.
So, once again, it's not a picture perfect pro day. Couple of small hiccups, I think one underthrow and one slight overlead, but it was about as perfect as you can get, and you probably don't get NFL quarterbacks to throw as there are certain NFL quarterbacks who will be starting this season who don't throw as well as Fernando Mendoza. But we're
Absolutely.
going to
But
segue on from winners to losers, and I'm going to throw it over to you for this next cat, man.
so we're going from a top standout quarterback to a guy who has unfortunately lost draft stock and a loser quarterback. Taylor Green from Arkansas. He created plenty of buzz when he showcased his incredible athleticism at the combine. Um, he had a 4.36 40. That is nuts for a quarterback, by the way. Um, he had a 43.5-inch vertical jump and 11-foot 2-inch broad jump, doing all this while measuring up at nearly 6'6", 230. Led scouts to rave about his potential in the NFL. Unfortunately for Green, his athleticism couldn't assuage the very real concerns about his unrefined throwing motion and lengthy delivery. Now, he did the pro day, and I mean, like I said, he's really fast. So this kind of makes me think that maybe they're having trouble with him as far as his throwing motion. As we both know, for quarterbacks, throwing is typically the hips, how you rotate, where you release on the throw. But it seems to me that they don't like the way he throws, but also uh, they don't like that he had a lengthy delivery. Now, he struggled for passing during sessions in Indy and continued to be inconsistent during the Senior Bowl practices. He's the number 169th overall player and number 8 on quarterback as far as Bleacher Report is concerned. Seems like a day 3 where he will land somewhere. And I got to tell you, I don't know about y'all, but I love playing Madden, and I wouldn't mind having him as a backup quarterback just because he can run around. I'm a guy that likes someone who can move, but I also like a guy that's someone that can throw the ball. And again, that just seems to be a uh, trending thing for him. They don't like the way he throws, and apparently can't throw very well. Um, so, but maybe he has some time you know for him to refine his throwing motion. Unfortunately, there's nothing left he can do to improve his draft stock. But partner, I will let you take over the number 8 guy on this list.
Yes, and it's a guy that I like a lot. I like a lot. If Washington was picking later in the draft, I think he would be an absolutely beautiful pick. Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee, second rated quarter or cornerback in this year's entire draft, only behind LSU's Mansour Delane. Actually, really helped boost his stock. Plenty of good athleticism. 4.38 on his 40-yard dash, 38-inch vertical, 10.7 on his broad jump. It's really really nice. Here's the big thing: he's not afraid to tackle. 44 tackles, 7 defended passes, 4 interceptions, takeaways. Takeaways mean the world in the NFL. You know that. And his athleticism paired with his penchant for playing corner is nice. It's really, really nice. And I think that it not only solidifies his first round draft status, I think it solidifies him in the first 15 picks. I think we see him go somewhere even as high as the. I think he goes even as high as the Chiefs at 9. And that's not a reach to say that. So I like it. I like it a lot. Now, he did opt to skip the Senior Bowl and the scouting combine. But I think a lot of that was also just wanting to showcase his talent in a one on one environment with pro scouts. So the pro day here, outside of his tape, really does what the combine does for a lot of other people. I love it. I love it. But he did miss the entire season last season. ACL injury. No, no, wait. MCL injury. Sorry, no, it was an ACL. Okay. Yes, ACL training session in 2025 in January caused him to miss the entire season, but he has shown all of what he was capable of from 2024 and the year before. So to be able to miss an entire season and maintain your draft stock is absolutely insane, and I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. I think that he goes somewhere 15 or earlier. Um, but his pro day, especially given that he did not participate in the combine and the Senior Bowl, that 100% lets everybody know that he is not only healthy and ready to play football, but he is still the guy that he was based off of one on one drills and his athletics.
Now, my question for you as partner, do you think that if he would have participated in the Senior Bowl and the Combine, that he would have leapfrogged Mansour Delane?
Based off of production and production alone, no. Because if you look at the numbers side by side, Mansour Delane gets targeted less. Um, he also plays better in a man capacity, and he's really, really good if he's pressing off the line. Jermod McCoy can learn those things, but if you place them side by side and you have to choose, does it push him further up the draft board? Absolutely, but need for corner can only push you so high.
Right.
Washington at 7 is probably the highest that I see a cornerback going. But as far as leapfrogging Mansour Delane, no. Would it have possibly put him, especially if he played in the Senior Bowl and showed what he had in a live football environment? That would have that could have possibly pushed him up around the same, and then it would have been a toss up. But as far as clear cut pushing him past Mansour Lane, just based off of production alone, I don't think so. And especially against the caliber of receivers that they would have had to go against, both being in the SEC. I think that's the big thing. You have Mansour Delane's product for 2025 against SEC wide receivers, and then you get Jermod McCoy playing in the Senior Bowl, and it's a mixed bag of wide receivers that he would have been playing against, not just SEC wide receivers. So, getting him closer, yes. Getting him past Mansour Delane as a definite, I don't think so. But it definitely could have helped. But his pro day did exactly what he was hoping for there.
Absolutely. And he was still a winner. He didn't drop any. Now we would be having a different conversation if he missed both of those and then did bad in the pro day. But luckily that is not the case. However, partner, we're gonna move on to something that we have both been looking forward to. This is kind of become my favorite segment of this entire thing for the last, I don't know, six episodes, 5 6 episodes, and that is doing breakdowns of each division uh, in each conference. And today we're in a new division of the AFC, and that is the AFC North. Now, partner, do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to do it?
You know what, brother? I know how much you love the Baltimore Ravens. I know how much you love that organization. I'm speaking facetiously, obviously, y'all.
Oh yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
but I'll let you take the Ravens. I know how much you're just chomping at the bit to talk about this particular free agency class.
All right. So, as we both know, there has been a lot of drama yet again with the Baltimore Ravens. Um, just to preface, they backed out of a trade with the Raiders involving Max Crosby. Now, again, that is some wishy-washy stuff. If you guys have missed us doing a full coverage on that, please go back through a couple of episodes. I believe it is episode 2 or 3 of the season, and we talk
Episode
about
two.
how yes, episode 2. We talk about how they kind of went scandalous. I think that they really just wanted to get Trey Hendrickson, and they thought that they wouldn't be able to, so they went for Max Crosby. Found out they could get Trey. Found a reason not to get Max, and then well, they have Trey. So, starting off here, they re-signed Tyler Huntley to a 2-year, $11 million contract. That is a backup quarterback to Lamar Jackson. And then they signed a free agent deal with tight end uh, Durham Smythe. Now he is going to be behind their star tight end. I can't remember his name.
Mark
Um,
Andrews.
Mark Andrews, thank you. Um, then they signed Danny Pinter at center, and then John Simpson at offensive line. This is their first big signing. It is a 3-year, $30 million deal. And of course, their splash signing, Trey Hendrickson signed a 4-year, $112 million deal with $60 million fully guaranteed and a maximum value of $120 million, of course, through incentives and other things. Now, again, we just went over how scandalous this was. Happy for the guy. He went out and got his bag. He left the Bengals to do so, which I find funny because they're in the same division. Um, but moving on, they re-signed Chidube Awuzie to a 1-year, $5 million contract, and safety Jalen Hawkins to a free agent deal. Now, they did not do a whole lot in the AFC North, but of course, they were the center of attention in the free agency world because of what they did. Their only splash signing is Trey Hendrickson, and I guess you could consider John Simpson a I wouldn't consider him a splash signing, but he was a great signing for them. But I think their big thing to focus on this year is getting Derrick Henry to hold onto the football. That cost them a lot last year. he just for some reason has butterfingers when it's important. Um, but again, they got Trey Hendrickson to hopefully offset some of that. But what do you think, man? Do you think that they've done anything good other than Trey Hendrickson and John Simpson?
I think that they have addressed needs that had arisen in early free agency, losing Tyler Linderbaum to the Las Vegas Raiders. You go out and you get Danny Pinter. Is that an apples to apples move? I don't particularly think so, but Danny Pinter is a very capable safety center in the NFL. I'm gonna get torn apart for that. Go ahead, give me your worst. But Durham Smythe also a capable replacement for Isaiah Likely, who went to the New York Giants. Um, I think these are all sound moves. Did they do enough? I'm not 100% sure, but they also still, due to the controversy caused by the backed out Max Crosby trade, they also still have a first round pick to go out and get first round talent. So maybe they plan on doing most of their building through the draft, which was always a lot of NFL GMs' first move. And I think Eric DaCosta is no different. He made enough moves to kind of bridge the gap from guys that they had lost to guys that they had gotten. So we like to see them at least maintaining at certain positions. They did get way better on the edge with Trey Hendrickson. Uh, Now you are banking on 31-year-old Trey Hendrickson to A, stay healthy, and B, produce at that level for 4 years. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just, I'm not sold on him being a better fit than Max Crosby. But it is an elite signing. He was very, very high on everybody's 101 boards. So, yes, they did plenty because I believe that they're mostly going to work through the draft, which is what most NFL GMs want to do.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was looking. You said Trey Hendrickson was 31 years old, which means that he is getting to football age. Um, and they offered him a 4-year, $112 million deal with 60 million fully guaranteed. And I was curious if NFL players, if they have to continue to, if organizations have to play them after they retire, and it is not the case. They actually could have to pay some of their portion of their signing bonus back to the team. Um, so if a team if a guy unretires, um, they might have to go back to that same team. The team retains the player's rights, meaning if they unretire, they return to that team under the original contract. So actually, that's kind of funny because of the Gronk thing. But anyhow, I was just curious if that was the case. It is not. So if he does retire, then they don't really lose anything out of giving him that much. But if he underperforms, then they lose that. So they have to hope that he performs and stays healthy, because he can retire and it just wouldn't matter. But anyway, moving on. You have a team here who I think if they keep a healthy quarterback in Joe Burrow, that they can possibly be another top contender.
For sure, for sure. And we'll start right there at Joe Burrow's position with the Cincinnati Bengals and how they have shored up the position behind him with a couple of dudes who have been around the NFL. These guys, they have experience. Um, we have quarterback Joe Flacco re signing with the team on a 1 year deal. Got a bit of a bag for a backup quarterback, $6 million up to $9 million with incentives. And quarterback Josh Johnson, who got his first NFL win with the then Washington Redskins, now Washington Commanders, in 2018. Fun little fact for you. Um, he signed a 1 year contract to be with the Bengals organization. I like that a lot. Josh has still got it. If you watch him play football, he still has some zip. He still has the ability to move around. It's very interesting to think that those guys are 40 plus and still signing contracts in the NFL at quarterback.
Now, can we just touch on the fact that if if Joe Flacco had Kirk Cousins manager, I guess,
His agent?
his agent, that Joe Flacco would have probably signed for $30 million. So I don't know. Just want to throw a little joke out there.
For sure, for sure. Like all I'm saying is whoever Kirk Cousins and I had his name here. Let me find it again for the sake of the joke.
Because that man walked away, and to be honest, he is probably going to be a backup quarterback, um, unless they decide to play him a couple of games and let Fernando Mendoza kind of settle in. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But he's still got a massive bag.
Yeah, for sure. His agent is Mike McCartney of Vayner Sports, by the way. So
So.
I think even average Joes like us could reach out to Mike McCartney of Vayner Sports and go get a bag to back up the backup
I'm
on the
about to
practice
I'm
squad.
about to call him,
Regular,
see if he can get me in there.
but yeah, they're shoring up the quarterback room out there in Cincinnati. It's nice to see those guys because I've always loved Joe Flacco and I've always loved Josh Johnson for as long as they've been around, and it's nice to see those guys still getting contracts. But it's also nice to see that they are trying to do things to keep Joe Burrow upright so they don't have to rely on these guys, and that is in the form of re signing a couple of those offensive linemen, extending Orlando Brown Jr., 2 years, $32 million. That keeps him under contract through 2028. And also re signing Dalton Risner at guard. That means the world. That means the world. I personally think the Bengals go offensive line in the draft. That makes the most sense to me. Maybe cornerback. They did re-sign and sign a couple of cornerbacks. They went safety in free agency, so I think the offensive line uh, makes a world of sense to me. Uh, on the defensive side of the ball, though, they did go with a couple of vets that are real good at both stopping the run and setting the edge for the pass, and that is Edge Boyamafe. I like this a lot. Can get after the quarterback. Also, extremely underrated at setting the edge. 3 years, $60 million. Beautiful deal for both team and player. Also, going out and getting Jonathan Allen. 2 years, $26 million, $28 million with incentives. Still has a lot to offer in the way of run defense. Can't get after the quarterback the same way he used to in his younger years, but he can still eat up a lot of space, take up blocks, and free up the other players around him, especially in that defense. They did re-sign Jalen Davis. I like this movie. I like this move as a depth move, especially when you're letting Cam Taylor Britt walk and signing Jasir Taylor. That also to me makes a lot of sense. I think that as far as performance, you get a lot of the same things from Taylor as you do with Taylor Britt. Brian Cook, huge signing here. 3 years, $40.25 million. $18 million in year one. That that's a sound signing as long as he performs like he did in 2024 and not how he did in 2025. That's the big thing. I also like Kyle Duggar. He's a name that's been floating around the NFL for a while and always proves to play good football wherever they put him. Is he a superstar? No. Is he capable? Absolutely. I think that certainly shores up the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And I don't know about you, partner, but although they did not address a ton, I think what they did address goes a long way in assuring that they're going to make another play for the playoffs as long as they can keep Joe Burrow standing upright and throwing to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And again, getting Orlando Brown Jr. is a great step in that direction. Um, he did very well last year. Unfortunately, Joe Burrow went down with turf toe, which is it sounds funny, but it really is painful. Um,
It's awful.
so, but moving on to my second favorite team. I don't know if you guys can see this little thing right here. If you are watching, it is a signed Browns helmet by Jim Brown himself. There is a ticket of authenticity in there. Uh, now we're gonna get on to this. They signed wide receiver Tylan Wallace. He signed a free agent deal. Um, signed a tight end Jack Stoll to a 1-year deal, and they did just lose their tight end to free agency. So I don't think they comparatively match up. I don't think it's you know apples to apples with that one, but it is someone that they can rely on to catch the ball. Now they did sign or trade for actually someone to keep Shador Sanders on his feet, and that is Titus Howard, who acquired in a trade with Houston Texans in exchange for a 2026 fifth round pick. Howard signed a new 3-year deal with 63 million extension with the Browns. Uh, and then they continued to address that offensive line and Tevin Jenkins, who re-signed with the Browns, Zion Johnson, who signed a 3-year, $49.5 million deal, and offensive lineman Elgton Jenkins. He signed a 2-year, $24 million deal with $20 million guaranteed. Now those are great steps to keep Shador or whoever they decide to go with this year, which hopefully Shador did not do terrible. He didn't do fantastic, but he didn't do terrible either. Um, and that those are steps to keep him on his feet or whoever they decide to go with again. Now they did decide to address some of the defense there a little bit. Julian Aquara re-signed with the Browns. Kalia Davis also signed a 1-year, $3 million deal. Um, defensive tackle, and then another defensive tackle, Sam Kamara, who re-signed with the Browns as well. Now, linebacker Quincy Williams signed a 2-year, $13 million deal with $9 million guaranteed. Quincy Williams is a great linebacker. Still pretty good at getting after the ball. Still pretty good at that run stopping. They did sign Daniel Thomas on a free agent contract, and Corey Bjorquez with the Browns re-signed a punter. So they got that guy back, and partner, they did really well, I think. They did do a lot of high-end signings, not a lot of names, but a lot of positions that they needed to address for sure. Um, and again, the offensive line being the big one there. So what do you think, partner? You think these are good?
I do. I do. I like shoring up the offensive line a lot. I also, the two at the top are underrated signings. In my opinion, Jack Stoll, uh, primarily known a little more as a blocker, but does have really soft hands, and Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace is going to make a difference, whatever that capacity may be. Could be on punt and kick returns. He is speedy with really fast feet, but also Quincy Williams. Now, granted, I want to say, is a little older, 30 or 31, I would like to say. Still plays linebacker very efficiently, especially as an off ball linebacker. Can cover really well still, can play downhill on the run. I like it. The big thing here to me is both Elton Jenkins, which was a guy that I wanted personally on Washington after he was released by the Packers. I thought that would be a perfect get. And Titus Howard. Um, that extension is huge, and to get him for a fifth round pick is it's a really really good deal. Now I think the Texans have something up their sleeve, but we'll get into that another day. But the Browns, I believe, won that trade. Titus Howard is a really solid depth piece. I think the Browns did really well.
Absolutely. And moving on to a well-known rival of the Browns, partner, take us down Pittsburgh Steelers Avenue here, if you will.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So, as you guys know, when we started this, when we started the second season of Off the Bench, I had the Pittsburgh Steelers in the top five as far as teams who improved the most within the legal tampering period. So, I'll get right into that. We'll start in the running back room. Rico Dowdle. Now, allow me to elaborate as to why I think the Rico Dowdle signing is going to be huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that is because he is an angry runner who no longer has to share equal carries with a back that is equally as angry as he is. Now, one big thing here. He said last year in Carolina that he circled the Dallas game on his calendar. And then he went out and put up over 200 yards and a couple touchdowns on Dallas. He said the same thing about the Carolina Panthers game this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He might break the rushing record. We don't know. he might be he might run so angry in that game. But I love this signing. I love Rico Dowdle. Was also very high on my list of guys for Washington. I am so intrigued to see how this turns out. I also like Travis Homer. A good change of pace back. Uh, Soft hands, not really a guy that you will see taking the majority of snaps, but a good guy who can spell whoever, whatever backfield he may have landed in. He's a good guy who can spell the best runners in the NFL, and it's really, really nice. This is also a huge move to go opposite DK Metcalf, and that is Michael Pittman being traded from the Colts along with a seventh rounder this season in exchange for a sixth rounder. That is a crazy good deal for a guy like Michael Pittman. Then he signed it. He got his bag. 3 years, $59 million. You love to see it. They did sign tackle Jack Driscoll. A little bit of depth on that offensive line. We'd love to see that. Ryan McCollum re-signing. You want your starting safety back always. Cameron Hayward. Cameron Hayward still out here collecting bags from the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is wild to me. 2 years, $32.25 million, 16 and a quarter, fully guaranteed. Keeps him under contract through next season. That makes a lot of sense for both team and player. Sebastian Joseph Day, also on that defensive line, signing a 2-year deal. Asezi Otamuo, also re-signing with the team. You love to see that. Cole Holcomb, he's one of my guys. I love Cole. Used to play in Washington. I liked him in Washington. Re-signed 2 years, $5 million deal. The linebacker market was incredibly cheap compared to what people thought it was going to be, and you can see that. This is one of my favorite signings that the Steelers did. Cornerback Jamel Dean, taking him away from the NFC is beautiful. You love to see it. You
Yep.
like to see the Buccaneers get worse. um, but you love to see Jamel Dean land in a situation like this. 3 years, 36.75 million dollars. I like this move a lot. I also like re-signing Asante Samuel Jr. That also makes a world of difference. Now this one hurts my heart a little bit because I wanted Quan in Washington so bad, so bad. Jaquan Brisker signing a 1 year, $5.5 million deal to go to Pittsburgh. He's going to make a difference on that defense. He's going to start in that defense, as well as Darnell Savage, who will be a great rotational piece. Possibly if they run three safeties, he can also play big nickel pretty well. You like to see these moves. I think the Steelers absolutely killed it with this haul. What do you think, though, partner?
I think the Steelers did great. Originally, I had them marked down at the number 2 spot, and I think that just going over the guys that they have, I do think that they might even be contender for the number 1 spot as far as my rankings, which we'll get into here in just a second. But like you said, Cole Holcomb, a great deal. Again, another Washington guy. Love to see him staying in somewhere, getting his bag, getting his money. Michael Pittman is a big one. I can't believe that the Colts let him go. To be completely honest, Michael Pittman has been a great wide receiver in his career. Um, it's just insane to me just to see him get let go. But nevertheless, the Steelers saw an opportunity and they took it. So, and again, Jamal Dean, anybody left, take them all. Get everybody out of the NFC that we can. So, great signings for sure. Partner, I have to tell you what my free agency rankings are, and that is the Browns coming in at number one solely because they stacked up that offensive line very well. Now, my only caveat to this, to the Steelers taking over, is the fact that the Browns still haven't answered that quarterback issue, whereas the Pittsburgh Steelers might be getting um, uh, Aaron Rodgers back on that as an add-in here to this list. And that is the only reason I think that the Steelers might take number one from the Browns here. But again, solely based off of right now, the Browns still have it for me, and that is again because of what they've done on that offensive line to protect whoever they go with for quarterback. Um, again, number one for them. Number two will be the Steelers, and again, they could take number one if they get Aaron Rodgers, because as it sits, they don't really have a set quarterback for them. So again, I think they land at number one, number two for me. If they grab Aaron Rodgers, then number one. But moving on to number three, the Bengals. Now they are number three because of, and not four, because they did sign Jonathan Allen and they got Brian Cook, and as well as, um, you know, Orlando Jr. staying there on that Bengals team. And then at number four, the Baltimore Ravens. Now they are number four and not higher on this list because of the scandal that went on with them. Although they did make a couple of big signings, and some would put the Baltimore Ravens higher on this list, but due to their scandals, not only now but also past scandals, it's just to me that again it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So they're going to land at number four for me, just because of how they acted in the free agency. Partner, what is your free agency ranking, and what do you have to rebuttal against anything that I just said?
So I think from a total team standpoint, the team that got better above the rest of the teams in the AFC North is hands down the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are the most complete team coming out of free agency, even over the Cleveland Browns. Um, that being because they addressed positions that were known problems last year. They shored up the cornerback room. They shored up the safety room. They shored up the defensive line. They shored up the offensive line. You go out and you get a guy like Michael Pittman. You go out and you get a guy like Rico Dowdle. Those guys are improvements of the dudes who were in the building last season, and they were competing last season. Does quarterback still ring? Yes. But quarterback also still rings inside the Cleveland Browns organization. Shador
Absolutely.
Sanders, unproven. Dylan Gabriel, unproven. They still have Deshaun Watson in that quarterback room. Who knows if Deshaun Watson is not your day one starter? Who knows? And he has proven that he has fallen off very heavy. So, I don't think you can bank on a guy like Shador. I don't think that you can bank on a guy like Dylan Gabriel. I certainly don't think that you can bank on a guy like Deshaun Watson. Um, so if we're comparing just moves throughout the offseason, the Steelers and then the Browns and then the Bengals and then the Ravens, just based off of moves. Now, I do love the moves that the Cincinnati Bengals made, but they are not the same quality of moves that the Cleveland Browns made. And I love the moves that the Baltimore Ravens made, but they did not make enough moves outside of Trey Hendrickson to really solidify this being a fantastic free agency haul. Durham Smythe, like I said, capable, but not a similar replacement to Isaiah Likely, and Danny Pinter being a capable, but not a similar replacement to Tyler Linderbaum. You addressed issues, yes, but I also feel like it was more just filling out the depth chart than actually addressing the need for both the Ravens and the Bengals.
Right.
Now I do like a lot of those moves, but I think it is Steelers based on the quality of guys and the re-signings that keep a continuity inside the building, and then the Browns because who knows where both organizations are whenever it comes to the quarterback position.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like it. I like it. Like the debate. We love a debate around here. That's what makes the channel so great. I think that just finding a debate here and there, even if I say something that I know is going to directly contradict what you think, just to get a debate out. Um, but yeah, dude. I mean, I like the picks. I mean, I think that for me, the way too early to tell is going to end this way. Complete opposite of my free agency ranking. The number one, I think, will be the Baltimore Ravens, with the only caveat of having Derrick Henry to hold on to that football. It's the only thing they need to do, in my opinion. Number two ending is the Steelers, and again, the only caveat is having a good quarterback. Which again we've talked about how Aaron Rodgers probably has the best chance at being that quarterback. I think that they're having great talks right now, just based on what has happened with Kirk Cousins. Number three being the Bengals, and number four being the Browns. Now, I don't think the Browns have done enough. Again, there's such a question, such a big question mark in that quarterback room, and I just don't think that I'm not trying to be a hater on the guy, but I don't think that Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders has that um, NFL quarterback readiness to them that I think that they should have, and that's why they landed at the bottom. And yeah, that's my list for it. And now the Bengals could go higher as long as they keep Joe Burrow healthy. If Joe is healthy, I think that that is a great, again, Super Bowl contending team, especially with the additions that they have added. So who knows? But again, that's just my way too early to tell. We'll do another one next week on that, but again, we'll move closer to what has gone on after the draft, and then we can do another way too early to tell farther in depth, and maybe those change. But that's just my idea, partner.
For sure, for sure. Um, I have in my way too early the division falling in this order. I have the now this is totally contingent on if Aaron Rodgers plays quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers or not. I have the Steelers winning the division. I have the Baltimore Ravens second. I have the Bengals third and the Browns fourth, and that is simply because of all of the factors like continuity and coaching. Those things make a world of difference. Um, Now, if the Ravens can somehow find lightning in a bottle with Derrick Henry holding on to the ball and finding a capable backup for him, I think them letting Keaton Mitchell walk and go to the Chargers is a huge mistake. I would have thrown possibly $20 million at him. He runs angry, he runs fast, he's very good at holding on to the football. That's the reason I don't have the Ravens winning the division. The Steelers just have a more complete team than the rest of the AFC North at positions that make a difference in the game. Now, Baltimore's defense is going to be stellar. It always has been. It always will be. It's what it was founded on in 1997, I want to say, whenever they expanded into the league. It's who they are. You still have studs. You still have all these guys, Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton, and now you have Trey Hendrickson, and you have a lot of great guys, but they're not as complete as I think they should be on the offensive side of the football to make that difference. And the Steelers are. So Steelers 1, Ravens 2, Bengals 3, Browns 4 for me.
Nice, nice. So roughly the same way they ended this season then. I like it. I like it. Again, great debate. We have a little bit of a different mindset here. But partner, I think it has come to that time where we bid farewell until the start of next week. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say thank you so much for listening and or watching. It is always a wonderful time here with you guys. And again, I love spending time with you, partner. It is the better part of my weeks. Um, but we will see you all in the next series. And man, so much unpacked today. I gotta let my brain think about a little bit of this. Um, but go follow us on all the socials. Uh, we upload to YouTube these videos that way you guys can not only listen but you guys can also watch. You guys can see what we're interacting with in our environment. Um, you can see me sipping on some Aspire energy as we go through our episode. And partner, do you have any farewells?
Yes, yes. Thank you guys. Thank you for everyone who watches. Thank you for everyone who listens. Thank you, partner, for giving me some really great debates twice a week. It's like you said, it's the best times in my week when we get to sit here and talk football and interact with the fans. Thank you to Aspire for giving us the chance to represent your brand. That's super awesome. Don't forget aspiredrinks.com / discount / ODB25. Get yours today. Don't miss out on the clean energy. But thank you for another great episode, partner, and thank you guys for another great episode. Y'all are absolutely incredible, and you make this easy to do because we get to talk football with each other and a bunch of good people who just love ball.
Absolutely. And that is going to do it for this episode of Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey. That is my partner, Scotty. I am your co host, Corey, and we will be seeing y'all in the next one.
Have a good night, y'all.